All right, how's it going, everybody? CVH here, and we're doing some post-game commentary and analysis for the round 2 IDC33 match, where we were up against Pitikman. So at this point in the tournament, we were 1-0 after the match against Shabam, I believe. And this was actually a couple weeks ago now. This match was played. I came down with a cold, so I decided I didn't want to do any live commentary and be coughing and blowing my nose and stuff throughout the recording. So now we're looking back on this match with a fresh set of eyes a couple weeks later. We're just going to analyze it, see how it went. And since I'm looking back on this now, I'm going to probably be better at pointing out my own misplays if they happened. As mentioned previously, I was on the 43 card Ice Sword Light Water Dark Nature deck. The opening looks reasonable. Pitikman is on 40 cards and put Aqua Surfer in mana. And Pitikman has been known to play a lot of Water, Fire, Rush, so that's what I figured this was probably going to turn into. So that's why Ice Vapor goes down immediately. 40 cards and Surfer, and given who our opponent is, was pretty confident that he wasn't going to be on a very spell-heavy deck. And we're proven half right there, because Quixotic comes down. Obviously, it's Water Nature, but it's still a very aggressive deck. And barring things like Spiral Gate, we're probably not going to be seeing too many spells on his side. So I do fortunately have one of the Tech 2 cost cards in my version of the Ice Sword deck for this tournament. Comes down at a great time to contest the opposing Quixotic. And it looks like we're just going to be mirroring plays for a little bit. Pitikman goes for a Hulkus, breaks the shields. Let's see if there was a shield trigger. Looks like there was. Locomotiver, kind of nice. What did it discard? Another Hardy Cap'n. So Pitikman ended the turn there, and it's looking like a pretty clear cut. Hulkus down, play Hulkus to the board, and we wind up still being behind on tempo a little bit, but definitely going 1-for-1 here is not a bad thing. We need to eventually just starve Pitikman for cards and start stabilizing. Locomotive and shields helped a lot, but it's not really going to help trading anytime soon. Sniper Mosquito down and Pincer Scarab. Yeah, so Water Nature, this is really the main threat of Pitikman's deck. There's almost definitely a full playset of them, and he's doing a good job of keeping a lot of cards in my hand, so it's probably going to be double breaking. And currently, there aren't really many answers I have. I mean, we have a lot of shield triggers. We have the 4 Surfers, 1 Terra Pit, 4 Soul Swap. That's really the main thing. Soul Swap is kind of what I need to be seeing here, and I do not have it yet. I also wasn't able to ramp. So, you know, the Bronze Arm Sky Sword line, just to gain a bunch of shields, isn't viable here. Lost Soul, not looking particularly useful in this matchup. Locomotiver is able to snipe the last card in Pitikman's hand, which is another Aqua Hulkus. So all things considered, I don't feel too bad about the situation. Obviously, Pincer Scarab is just running rampant, but assuming I can deal with that, yeah, and he top decks a 1-drop, his 4th Hardy Cap'n. Kind of funny. One of the worst draws in his deck for sure. I do get a shield trigger. What was it? Holy Awe, not particularly useful here. If I had a 2,000 power creature, obviously that would have been incredible. Wow, I don't remember that at all. That's actually a very interesting double break, because Holy Awe and Terra Pit are both 1-ofs in my version of the deck. So that's funny. I have a little bit of trouble targeting Pincer Scarab, it looks like, but I'm obviously trying to Terra Pit that. Yeah, there we go. So now it's just Hardy Cap'n versus a last shield. Felix is looking like it's good at contesting here. None of the other plays are too solid. Sky Sword at any point would be very nice. This is definitely a matchup where you want to at least draw a Sky Sword or two. Mana's kind of tricky here too. Honestly, Locomotiver could probably go down. I don't know if well, depends on if the Hardy Cap'n goes back to hand, then there would be something to Locomotiver, but that still might just be too slow. Keeping Holy Awe and, like, yeah, Colon, Holy Awe, but Holy Awe down, get it back, keep Colon, see if I draw another light card, I could put Colon down, play Belix. I wonder how I actually wound up doing this. Holy Awe probably isn't the most useful thing in the world, so I might put that down, play the Belix, get back a second Soul Swap, and I can either put it back down in mana next turn, or I draw another nature card, like a Bronze Arm or something, I'll just have 2 swaps, which, you know, maybe one day I'll draw Sky Sword and be able to use them. We shall see. I don't remember because it was like 2 weeks ago at this point. What do I go for? I do go for a swap play. Okay, I kind of like this. I'm just trying to get Hulkus on board, draw an extra card here. I'm digging for the Sky Swords. Even though I have a blocker coming down this turn, I know Sky Sword is my key to actually stabilizing. This one blocker in my hand is the only blocker in the deck, so it looks like I'm going to be playing Belix this turn and getting back, I suppose, Soul Swap. I can always just put it back in mana. Or maybe, I get back Holy Awe? Okay. I'm okay with that. Actually, it makes more sense. Next turn, I might not Colon. I probably would. Maybe I was just saying, if I draw another light card, I could maybe play them both this game. Lucky Ball was one of the scariest draws for Pitikman to have here. I do have a Lost Soul, but I'm a couple turns away. Even then, like, I have to answer the 3,000 power creature on board too. So this is tough. This is really tough. I can... Yeah, this is, I guess maybe one of the safer plays is Colon, tap Hardy Cap'n, and trade with Aqua Hulkus, then Belix and Lucky Ball trade. But then my opponent's still going to have a bunch of stuff in hand that he can play next turn. There's also Locomotiver, and that's a slightly better value play, but then it gets really scary if my opponent has just any removal for Belix. I could just lose the game on the spot. So this prevents me from losing this turn in every case. But I also don't feel like I'm in much of a good position at all. I mean, I had to put the Holy Awe down, so my removal next turn is basically just Aqua Surfer. If Pitikman plays 2 creatures, I am going to be kind of without an answer. And the odds of that are very high with 3 cards in Pitikman's hand. Spiral Gate forces the replay. I do finally get Sky Sword. So if I replay Belix and I don't do anything else, obviously, if I'm dead. If I remove just the Poisonous Mushroom and do nothing else, or remove just the Lucky Ball and do nothing else, I'm dead. So my only real play here is to play Sky Sword after playing mana, playing not Belix and mana. I have to play Sky Sword, get an extra shield, and get another untapped light mana source from the Sky Sword's effect. That is the only play that actually keeps me alive, and it does so very inconsistently. I wouldn't be relying on a shield trigger necessarily if Belix can actually stick next turn, but I am really just not super favored to get that to happen, given the amount of light cards in the deck. It being a 4-civ deck, and a lot of the light cards are like Sky Swords, which come in tapped, and Bloom, which comes in tapped. So it's like the other Colon, the Holy Awe, which is already gone, the Foul. Odds are pretty low here. So I put the Lost Soul down. I was debating what makes sense in mana if I actually get everything to go right and it happens. And wouldn't you know it, another Sky Sword goes into mana, so I'm not able to play Belix this turn. And this isn't necessarily lethal, right? I could get a shield trigger here, so Sky Sword in any case is my best chance. But a Sky Sword plus Belix would have actually been pretty decent, and this is only okay. Definitely not good enough to keep me alive consistently. Pinsu Scarab comes down again. Looks like I do get a shield trigger. Is it good? Does it keep me alive? Or is it just... Oh, it's a soul swap? Nice. That's pretty solid. Huh, this is interesting. Now that I'm looking back on this, I'm not sure if that was better or worse than Sky Sorting again. That's pretty interesting. If I Sky Sword again, Lucky Ball attacks, and obviously I can't deal with the tapped Lucky Ball, but I can't deal with the untapped Hardy Cabin either. This turn, I can Surfer and Belix, which keeps me alive. Yeah, I think this is probably fine. Because Hardy Cabin on board is a lot less threatening. Doesn't get by Belix, and if he does actually break the last shield with it at any point, it'll go back to the hand and give me another turn. But there's also Plague, right? I think Plague might be... The interesting thing with Plague is I can't actually set up a 2-turn lethal. So if I Plague, I remove Pinsu Scarab and Hardy Cap'n, attack Poisonous Mushroom because I have to, otherwise I'll die, and then break 2 shields. Next turn, I'm not dead. if I don't hit a shield trigger creature, but then I can only break 3 shields, and I would have to draw Fighter Dual Fang to win the game. Or my opponent would just play 1 creature, and then I can Aqua Surfer it and be fine. Yeah, actually this seems kind of okay, right? Next turn there are legitimate lines. Yeah, I like the Plague here. I like Plague. I like attacking a little bit, I think. And then next turn, my opponent could play 1 creature or 2 creatures. There's some combination of like Aqua Surfer Belix or Belix into Soul Swap into turning my Kolan into Sky Sword, something like that. I can give him back both of the expensive water creatures because they simply are too expensive to play. And I have no shields, but I'm weirdly kind of safe here. And breaking here, Pitikman already has enough cards in hand, right? So given that he's only going to have 3 mana next turn, the odds that he can actually play multiple cards are pretty low, especially because we saw like all the Hardy Captains this game, right? So maybe it's a 2-drop and a Sniper Mosquito, but more than likely it's just a 2-drop. Or 2 1-drops, I guess. Yeah, well, yeah, there you go. Oh, what am I talking about? We bounced Hardy Captain. Of course we're going to see Hardy Captain. What am I even thinking? I'm losing my mind. We did see all the Hardy Captains, but we put 1 back in our opponent's hand, so obviously Hardy Captain is going to be played. So with the 2 1-drops, I am currently looking for the best way to stay alive here. So I go for the Belix, grab back the Soul Swap. All looking okay so far. I imagine I put Kolan in mana, right? Because light mana is slightly more of a premium currently than darkness mana. Get the Sky Sword's effect. And finish out with a Locomotive or just a wild shot in the dark against Pitikman's hand. See if I can snag something useful. I do discard the Lucky Ball. I guess that's kind of nice. But now I'm pretty protected here. And my opponent would need to have Spiral Gate to threaten lethal. If I remember correctly, he actually does this turn. Or maybe he doesn't. No, he doesn't. I'm just misremembering things. I got lucky with the shield triggers earlier, but apparently I don't need to get lucky this turn. And it doesn't look like Pitikman has any good attacks here. I imagine he passes, hopes I either don't go for lethal or I miss and I hit a shield trigger. Obviously, I'm going to attack. I'm probably going to go for lethal here. He does wind up going for it. Goes in with the Sniper Mosquito. I suppose I take the free block, killing Sniper Mosquito. Then Hardy Captain will also be off the board. So, I mean, if I do wind up getting, like, I don't know, Plague or something, maybe Plague plus a creature if I had it, if I had enough mana, would be even safer. As it is, I don't really have enough removal, I don't think. Actually, is Surfer and then Soul Swap out Sky Sword for another Sky Sword actually safer? Yeah, I think the actual best play here is just Soul Swapping Sky Sword, getting another shield, playing Aqua Surfer, bouncing Sniper Mosquito. And the reason for that is I would be completely safe. And wait, no, this is also completely safe. No, it's not. The other play was better. If I just Soul Swapped in Sky Sword here and passed, that would be safer. Double bouncing Surfer is fine, but this also loses to shield trigger Surfer. So if I had just Soul Swapped in Sky Sword and not attacked, and sat against the Aqua Hulkus with a blocker and a shield, a single blocker removal would not have killed me, and then I would have 1 extra attacker. That's the critical part of that, is I would have 1 more attacker next turn. So that was an inaccurate play. I should have probably Soul Swapped the Sky Sword out and back in, and simply passed the turn and tried to attack next turn, given that I would not have died to anything from hand, and I would probably have dodged a single Surfer being an out for Pitikman there. But what can you do? It was weeks ago. I can't go back and fix the plays. Starting off similar to last game with an Ice Vapor and mana. Pitikman is on the play this time and has the Sniper Mosquito into Poisonous Mushroom, I think. It is a Poisonous Mushroom, so this is really the ideal start against a deck like mine that's not really going to be committing to the board a bunch early. I was having a great time zooming Octagon in and out. This would be a great time to see any shield trigger. That's not Holy Awe. Anything else would have been, well, Soul Swap would have been pretty bad. Soul Swap wouldn't have done anything. But any of the other shield triggers would have been great. And here's one of the problems with Ice Sword, especially when I don't draw one of the only 3 2-drops in the deck. I am just getting completely outpaced. It's only turn 2, and I'm already seemingly miles behind. So this is really when the deck tends to lean heavily on its shield triggers. And by that I mean it really needs to see one this turn, or things are looking unwinnable. Still, an Aqua Surfer or a Locomotiver would be amazing. Colon is passable, especially in the first shield. Just anything I can do to not stare down actual lethal next turn would be great. But Pitikman's playing all the mana ramp. He's sniper attacking without any problems. This does look like a shield trigger, but I think it's actually just a soul swap. Yeah, it's a soul swap. This also seems like a strange but understandable line, but also probably wrong. Like, I understand why I did that. Looking back on it, I don't like that I did that very quickly. I think that was an overthinking moment. But it's bizarre to me that I did it so quickly. I think I'm 99% dead either way, but I think I am at least not dead this turn if I soul swap out the mushroom for itself, because then I take 1 less shield. I'm not staring down lethal. The logic in my head was Sniper Mosquito is more dangerous over time, and I need another shield trigger that turn to win anyway. So I was like, okay, I'll just soul swap out the Sniper Mosquito for something less dangerous and hit Aqua Surfer and be fine. I was basically on the, if this next shield is Aqua Surfer, I could potentially be okay, and if not, then it's all over anyway, so what's the point? I should just play for the Aqua Surfer out this turn, let him hit another shield, let it be Aqua Surfer, and just figure it out from there. Obviously, that is not the case. That is not what happened at all. I am still alive, but my only play is a Sky Sword, which sometimes could give me Holy Awe, sometimes could keep me alive for another turn, but at this point, there's really no way to actually win the game. There's just, how long can I cheese it out and stay alive? I do get an Aqua Surfer. I don't even play it. It's fine. Last Shield Surfer against 4 creatures. It's not good enough. And we are shuffling up for game 3. And this hand is actually just absurd. I remember this. I remember calling Earth Power after the match to talk about my opener for game 3. This opener is just bizarre. I mean, it's a 4-Civ deck. And Mono Darkness hand. And a very expensive hand against the deck that I cannot afford to have this expensive of a hand against. Locomotiver is fine. Maybe 1 in my hand would be passable. The rest of the cards, complete garbage. Very unfortunate to see. At least I'm on the play. And Bloom is an okay-ish draw. It, like, helps me with mana a little bit. So if I draw Aquahulkus next turn or Belix, those are plays that would be good to see. This is a hand where Bronze Arm top deck on 3 would actually not be good. Just completely unplayable. Let's see. Do I draw it? I can't really remember, but I have a feeling. Yep, I remembered correctly. The Bronze Arm just in time, except it's not, because I don't have any green mana. So best play is just to slam another Ice Vapor into mana, and hope these Locomotivers do a lot of work. But Pinsir Scarab is a card that it's not going to do a lot against. So this needed to be Aqua Surfer. Aqua Surfer would probably have been close to game winning, actually, on the first shield there. I mean, that's really nothing new. Aqua Surfer is game winning on the first shield a lot. More often than not, probably. Lost Soul, another card that's not very good in this matchup. Locomotiver comes down. It does discard Lucky Ball, which is quite nice. Lucky Ball wouldn't have been playable this turn with an effect, but could be a problem down the line, assuming there is a down the line to get to. So, not a bad discard. And Pitikman at this turn just really needs any other play. Like, anything else on the board is going to be really hard to beat. Even this Unicorn Fish, like, doesn't do a whole lot, but it does prevent me from trading into Poisonous Mushroom. It's not another Pinsir Scarab, but it is good enough. No shield triggers, or we do get one on the third shield here. It's a soul swap. I feel like I've had shield trigger soul swap every single game this match. This is another case where I soul swap out a card that is already attacked, but in this case, I think it makes sense, and I do need another shield trigger here if I want to stay alive. It's Colon. which helps me deal with the Poisonous Mushroom, but it's not going to do anything else. Yeah, I think the point is if I had soul swapped out the Poisonous Mushroom, I wouldn't be able to kill that at least this turn, and then Pinsir Scarab would just be ready to double break my last 2 shields the following turn because I don't have any answer to it in my hand for this amount of mana. So at least I can get rid of Poisonous Mushroom, but with the hand the way it is, I'm still relying on a shield trigger the following turn. I can get rid of Pitikman's last card with Locomotiver, which might be the idea, and just hope that Pitikman not only hits a shield trigger next turn, but also bricks and draws something like Spiral Gate. I'm trying to think of how many other cards wouldn't be creatures in that deck, but it's almost all creatures. I don't think Pitikman at this point is playing the version with Torkons and Bark Whips, or like Bark Whip might be what you could probably consider a brick if it's not an extra creature, and I'm going to deal with it with a shield trigger anyway. Even then, I don't want to see it. But I think this is just the stock water nature aggro Pinsir Scarab deck. Maybe I go for a Bronze Arm play. No, there's no way. It's definitely Locomotiver here. Locomotiver does discard Bronze Arm. Not the highest impact card, but definitely another creature that I can't really afford to have on board right now. So this will need to be a shield trigger, and then I'll need to draw very, very well. And Pitikman draws the most powerful creature in his deck. I get a useless last shield, and that is the game, everybody. So Pitikman won 2-1. Definitely kind of a grindy match. Game 1 we won, but it took quite a while. And then game 2, things went significantly worse. Everything sort of just went right for Pitikman with being on the play and having a good curve, which is what the deck is supposed to do. And game 3 was arguably one of the worst hands I could have asked for. So after this match, I was pretty disappointed. You know, that wasn't really a good showing. I think there were definitely, I mean, ironically, I think the misplay in game 2, I don't think really mattered at all because I was like just so far behind in any case. So I guess making the more risky play and just needing an Aqua Surfer in that next shield to be in a slightly better position kind of makes sense because I was so far gone. The worst play I made was probably, ironically, the game I won, and even more ironically on the turn that I won because I should have waited one turn to be ultra safe, and I did something maybe a little bit hot-headed there by the double Surfer plane going in. But overall, the games I lost, I don't think there was too much room to change the outcome there. And it's unfortunate that the deck sometimes does that against aggro, but there you go. 1-1 in IDC33 so far. Still quite a few more rounds of Swiss to go. Stay tuned for the next couple matches. Those will also be narrated after the fact because I continued to have a cold into my next round, and then like other real life circumstances around me prevented me from live streaming these, or not live streaming, but live recording these with commentary and everything. So I'll be doing the commentary after the games for the next few rounds. Maybe not for all of them, but definitely for the next couple. Hopefully you all stick around and enjoy. Leave a like if you do. I'll see you next time.